help are they going to be to him? Sir Geoffrey Donaldson is the DUP's chief whip and is on the line now. Morning to you.
Good morning.
Just a sort of an overview, first of all, and I guess it's a practical question, but I assume it's a pretty simple answer. The confidence and supply arrangements that you currently have with Theresa May's government, do those just roll over?
Well, indeed they do, because, of course, that arrangement is with the Conservative Party and not with the Prime Minister. But we're about to enter phase 2 of the confidence and supply agreement. So we will, of course, be negotiating the arrangements for the next stage of our support for the government. And we've held back in doing that until a new Prime Minister has been elected by the Conservative Party, so that we can discuss with them their priorities for the next term.
Right. So what do you want from your side of those negotiations? What do you need to hear?
Well, obviously, Brexit is very important, and it was front and centre of our confidence and supply agreement, as indeed is support for the Union of the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland. So those are the kind of issues we'll be wanting to talk to the new Prime Minister about. How is he going to deliver Brexit by the deadline in October in a way that can command the support of Parliament?
When he says there are technical ways in which the problem of a hard border in Ireland could be solved, is he right?
Well, I believe that technology can play a part in addressing this issue, and even the Irish government and the European Union have recognised that, and they are looking at and examining options.
But there are options for the future, of course. Now, he seems to think it could be done now, settled now. Do you think in that he's right?
Well, I think there are elements of what we need to do to avoid a hard border that can be resolved by technology.
When you say elements, I just want to be clear. I mean, he says the whole thing. Do you accept the whole thing? It could be resolved.
Well, we know there is a group at the moment examining that, but the issue for us is the backstop, and how do you address the concern not only of the DUP but of the House of Commons, because on 3 occasions now the House of Commons has voted to reject the current draft withdrawal agreement because of the backstop.
Surely the point, though, the backstop
of this as well.
You wouldn't need the backstop, though. If the technology worked, the backstop would be redundant by definition.
Well, indeed, that's the case, but I don't know whether there will be enough time between now and the deadline in October to get agreement with the EU on what that technology would look like.
Right, so that's the point, isn't it?
So address the politics of this.
Yeah, but that's a really important point, because Boris Johnson talks sort of slightly airily in the Telegraph today about these technological solutions. You're making the point that they would have to be in place if we weren't going to invoke the backstop at all. They would have to be in place by the 31st of October, and you don't believe that they will be.
Well, there is an implementation period that follows our withdrawal where you could put them in place. So it's not necessarily the case that you have to have everything in place by October, but you would have to have agreement with the EU on this. Otherwise, we're looking at a no-deal situation, and our preference is that we leave the EU with the deal, but that means finding a way to address the concerns around the backstop.
Might you be open, I mean, Mr Johnson himself says repeatedly that he isn't open to it, but might you be open to a further delay to October the 31st not being the end date?
It is our clear preference that we do this by October. We've had
yeah, but you use that word. Sorry to interrupt, but we're slightly short of time. You use that word preference. I'm just what you seem to be suggesting is if someone came to you and said, "Look, these things could be done," as Jeremy Hunt actually has said repeatedly, then for the sake of an extra few months, you're not too worried.
Well, we'd look at that if that was a viable proposition, but it isn't at the moment. That isn't an option in front of us. So we're focused on getting this over the line by October, which means that there need to be discussions with the EU to address the concerns about the backstop. And if we can do that, we believe there would be support in Parliament for the withdrawal agreement.